Okay, welcome back to lesson 41. Right, okay. A few things to go over this lesson. The retropologizing on the shoulders, very similar to the last lesson. However, I have accidentally lost a lot of footage, hundreds of gigabytes of footage from the previous raw format when I was making these. However, I've had to come back over, and I'm going to be pressing Control Z as I've hidden all the faces, and as I will reveal them, I'll go over and explain what I'm also doing. So this isn't actually a speed run going through the video. I'll be able to explain as much as I can going through it. So ignore the crease lines. You see the purple reddish crease lines, so just ignore them for now, and I'll explain later on. So as I'm pressing Control Z, I'm revealing what I have done. So as you can see on the spikes, it's always good to have a hexagon sort of spike, because you can click on them faces and then scale them down to make it look more pointy if you wanted to. So as I press Control Z, I'm revealing more of what I have previously done. And if we look over to our mirror, I also have the little icon, looks like a upside down triangle, ticked on, or like all four little blue icons in the mirror modifier turned on. This means you can also see the topology on the mirrored side as well, just there, as you can see. I will just put that on and off and then just show you. There we go. So these spikes that I did here on the shoulders, what I did is I copied each one and then I pasted just roughly where it would be, just so it has the same amount of topology on each one. I don't want them to be exactly the same, but it's not a problem, because when I connected them to the rest of the geometry, they're not going to be the exact same, slightly different, and then using the snapping tool with the face select and just snap them into place. So as you can see, as we were retropologizing this all the way around and over, I make sure I'd copy the previous sparks and put them over. Actually, it didn't take me as long as I thought to do this manually. It did with the crease edging. I really did want to make sure I get all the right lines and edges when I was creasing these, and making sure my clipping was on or off depending on what I needed to move. Sometimes when you're selecting a vert, or you're duplicating a plane and the mirror, and it's close to the center of the mirror line, you might have to just turn clipping off and then turn it back on again, just to get the vert out the way, so it's not clipping in where the mirror modifier is drawn. So as you can see here, these other spikes were also were a bit different to the other ones. So I retropologized these again manually. And the shape here was different from before. I resculpted a different shape. I didn't quite like the curvature of the previous shape, so I thought this one looked much better when I was retropologizing it. So in the middle of me retropologizing it, I smoothed it all down in sculpt mode on the sculpted object, and then just created that. Unfortunately, again, I lost the footage for that, as pretty upset about that, because I was explaining different ways of a few different sculpting techniques, but I did cover that previously in the last lessons. So now I've unhid, I think, everything, and we've got all our spikes on the edges as well at the bottom. There is the back of the shoulders. I will probably be filling that up with one giant face, or I might just be turning that all into quads, depending on the topology. The topology could be pretty high here for the shoulders because of the amount of curves and spikes that are on the shoulder. I may have to change this in a later date, but just for the purpose of the video, I thought this was a good idea to show you what's high poly and low poly. So the more detail, as you can see, is on the piece of armor, the higher the topology would be. And then I gave it some colour. So selecting the certain faces, I wanted to make this gold and black. Changing the different colours of the gold and the purple throughout the piece of armour. So I had selected all the different parts that I wanted to purple, and sometimes you can use the vertex groups, so you can actually assign different groups to your vertex groups under the what do you call it, the object data properties. I keep forgetting my words today. Which is also really good to come back and over, and if you need to change any colors as well. Or you can draw seam lines in and then press L to select them as well. So there's multiple ways to selecting different ones for each color. I'm just using the standard BSDEF principle shader. It's just a standard coloring. Turning the metallic and the smoothness down, metallic up, just to give this nice shiny light finish. And as you can see, I tried to keep it nice and smooth throughout the object as well. And then all the crease lines, you see all the red pinkish sort of crease lines. What that does is when you press Shift E after selecting all the edges you want to make more sharp, will give a nice a better finish to your model. Also very helpful in hardening edges as well, to give it a nice finishing look at the end. I think it was a few I may have missed. I've noticed as a few I might have missed. I might just have to go back over and use the crease as well to go back over the bits I've missed. But apart from that, this is sort of the demonstration I have for you guys that are watching. I'm no professional in retopologizing or using the crease lines, but this is as best as I can show for now, as this is something I've seen many artists and many other people that have also done it like this. Each to their own sometimes. I mean, there's loads of ways of doing different things. There's just maybe this might be a quicker way of the workflow, or if you're trying to design something for like a AAA title game, then they want very unique and special ways of topology perhaps, which would take way more time to make. But once you finish, it's very, very rewarding, and it looks really good once you get it to the way it looks. So as I've just noticed there, I've missed out one of the edges there. As you can see, it's bent round. But if I now select it and press Shift E and press 1, 1 is the highest on the crease. I've just now increased the crease. And then sometimes you can add mark sharp. I think I added mark sharp on that. It really depends on how sharp you really want that edge to show. Sometimes you don't need it when you're using crease. It could just be personal preference sometimes, or it all depends on what kind of shape or object or asset you are creating. But you can stack crease and mark sharp on top of each other to make it sharper and better looking. I don't know if I thought actually removing the crease between the objects, between the spikes, might look better, if I'm honest. But for now, I think I might just leave it like that. So once you've gone over with all the crease parts, make it look nice and sharp and shiny, using the materials, the metallic and smoothness, all I've used on the material properties. We can unreveal now and show everything. Everything else that you see there, I will go through a later lesson in the videos, and I will go through everything else with you on a later point. We'll come close to the end of the video, but before we leave, so the little technique here, this little origin point that you can actually manually move after you click the little spanner and icon over on the right there. If you tick the little box that says origins, what I do here is I grabbed the mirror origin point, which is the shoulders as we still have selected, and bring it to the middle as close as possible. Manually moving it, using the transform, setting that on a 0 axis on the X axis, and then in your mirror modifiers you can then hit X and Y. So not only it's mirroring on the Y axis, but now it's mirroring on the X axis. So that's everything for this lesson of the shoulders, and I'll catch you in the next lesson.